Ah, welcome back, friends. Welcome. Here we are, back with another Kevin Zhensei live stream. I got to keep this window open, otherwise I will burn up into a fiery inferno. There's no AC in this room, and I have turned off the fan so that I can use my MacBook charger, and also so that you guys can hear me. We're struggling. We're making it work. In the other room, my girlfriend is resting. She's a little feverish. No, I don't think she has COVID, but she's a little bit sick, so I'm just gonna let her rest. She showed her true love to me by getting me this snack. It says it's a Brazilian snack. Well, is it Brazilian? It's in Portuguese. It says amendoim crocante. Amendoim is peanut. Crocante is crunchy. And this is just so sweet because she doesn't like peanuts at all. And she knows that I love peanuts. I love peanuts. Love peanuts, love peanut butter. But peanut butter is so overly expensive in Brazil. It costs like 1 arm and 3 legs for a jar of peanut butter. It's not very commonly used in Brazilian cuisine, but I mean, we have jars of Costco Jiffy peanut butter at home in Miami. I need it to survive. Send me to an island. What would I need to survive? Water, peanut butter, noodles. I don't know. Another human being. We'd have a good time. All right. I'm joined by one viewer. Let's give it a few more minutes and see if other goons show up. But yeah, what questions do you guys have about dating and relationships in college? Feel free to ping me in the chat. If not, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my own personal experience dating in college. Guys, you have to understand, all right, that I was such a cheeseball in college. I don't even know how to describe myself. I think I was like a try-hard, tried so hard to make, let's not even start with dating and relationships, but I just tried so hard to make friends. I was like interested in, here's my attitude. All right, let me explain this. So I went into college. Hey, Hassan, how's it going? I went into college thinking, guys, this is my chance to quote unquote reinvent myself a little bit. And also I felt that the number one value proposition of college is not the classes. I was not interested in academics at all. I was interested in making friends because I knew that these relationships would last me 5, 10, 15, many years down the road. I was interested in getting a ton of sleep because I was so sleep deprived. I think I lost several inches off my height, and I was really interested in social life, going to parties. And I think that dating relationships kind of existed at the intersection of those priorities. And so what I would do is I would ask people to go grab lunch or dinner with me. And this is a huge thing at Yale. It's let's go grab a meal. And you literally pull out your iPhone. Everyone has an iPhone. I don't know a single Yale student that has an Android. You pull out your iPhone and you say, hey, let's go grab a meal. I'm going to send you a Google Calendar invite. Like, kind of makes my eyes just want to roll back into my skull when I say something like that. At the same time, like, I will admit that using Google Calendar is a very efficient way of meetings. Like, the other person gets a notification. People rarely bail, rarely miss or forget. So I was doing this religiously. And I think it got to the point of an unhealthy obsession where I was like on Google Calendar, messaging people, extending invitations to people. And I would meet with, let's say, 7 or 8 people every single week. And I would try to grab meals with them. And it just turned into like something that originally had been very fun into something that was like so exhausting. And I had this mentality going in where, I felt guilty if I wasn't meeting tons of people every single day. I was like, what am I doing? Just like laying back. Like, I didn't come to Yale to sit in my room and, sip vodka and watch anime. Okay, maybe I did. But that's what I did sophomore year a little bit. But also, I mean, I really wanted to meet people and extend myself. But at the same time, like, there is a balancing act. Now, another downfall to this is like, apparently some girls in my dorm saw that I was just asking out like every girl who I thought that was cute to go grab a meal with me. Let me close this window. These Brazilian people are singing. It's a Saturday afternoon. Guys, feel free to ping me with questions as I'm telling this ridiculous story. So freshman year, Kevin, which I guess is very, very close to you guys. It's going to be you guys in 6 months. Maybe it is you guys already. I know I have some freshmen in college who watch this channel. At any rate, I was asking out. I wouldn't even say I was asking them out. Like, I was just going to grab a meal, and I thought I was just being harmless. I thought I was being friendly. But apparently this is like not cool. I don't know, to ask out lots of girls and be like, hey, let's go grab a meal together. And so the girls that I would ask, like one day, they would see me with another girl, and I guess that would kind of like turn them off, or they weren't sure exactly what my intentions were. I think part of the reason is I wasn't even sure what my intentions were. I was just trying to meet as many people as possible. And it seemed like that was like not such a cool thing freshman year, even though that's what I thought the whole purpose of college was. At any rate, I started getting a little bit like shunned, and I think that people started viewing me negatively, and that really hurt my self-esteem, and I was kind of sad about that. So then I did a total 180, and I just like stopped chatting with people, and I would eat alone in the dining halls, and just it was like a total switch, and that made me pretty sad, actually. So if I were to change things my freshman year, I think I just wouldn't try so hard. And I think that I would be more upfront and bold. Like, these girls had no idea what my intentions were when I was asking them to go grab dinner. First of all, that is a horrible date idea. If you are interested in a girl, ladies and gentlemen, and if you're interested in a girl, guys, and if girls are interested in a guy, I highly recommend that you guys schedule a date where multiple things are happening. I think I mentioned this last week. But you want to create a scenario where it's like, hey, let's go grab ice cream or coffee. That would be really good. And you want to schedule that around like 3 or 4 o'clock. Or you want to schedule it maybe late at night. You know, you get ice cream at 8. And then afterwards, you guys walk to a bookstore and you look at books together. And then afterwards, maybe you guys like stroll around and you listen to some music. You go to like a show. It would be better where you're always talking to the person. Like, your job, I think, I don't want to say job, but I think it's really important to do this kind of screening, do multiple activities. It's, like 1 hour per activity. Bad ideas are to grab dinner together. I think that's like a little bit too formal. Another one would be just like watch a movie together. I think that's like a lot of people's go-tos in high school and early college, but those actually make for really bad dates because you're not talking to the person. It would be better if that's like the second or third date, let's say third date, and you're trying to build some sexual tension and you're trying to like go in for a kiss or something like that. Then it makes sense. But the first date, I think it's really important to get to know this person, like the first goal is to just see if you guys have chemistry. And if you want to hang out with them again, you guys know, like you guys are all smart, intelligent young people. Do I want to hang out with this person for another 2 hours? Yes or no? Like, we are all busy, selfish animals and we have better things to do. So those are my 2 cents for now, guys. Hello. We have 8 viewers now. Guys, feel free to ping where in the world you're watching this from. Let me know, what questions you have about relationships. Also, don't forget to like. It really helps the channel out. I love doing these AMAs with you guys. My girlfriend was thinking of joining, but she's a little bit sick today, so I'll let her sit out. All right, yeah, questions, guys. Questions and concerns. I'm going to snack a little bit. I hope you guys don't mind. It's a little crunchy. Rejected from UCLA. That's okay, Tajasvin. You just need one acceptance. I heard some of the schools are coming in. Some of the, what is it called? Application decisions, right, are coming in. Rejections, acceptances. I think that by the end of 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, guys, you will know where you're going to college. That's pretty scary, huh? Feels like just yesterday I found out that I was getting into Princeton and Yale. It happened on April 1st, and I was playing League of Legends when it happened. Dating and relationships, what other questions do you guys want to know? I have no idea about Duke Kunshan. No idea what that is. I'm sorry, Hassan. Okay, so other things related to dating and relationships. Guys, I just had no idea how to move forward in a relationship. I knew how to ask a girl out and hang out. And I had no idea how to build like sexual tension, go for a kiss. Now I know like what helps a lot is touching. Like getting in a scenario where you guys can hang out, touch. It sounds so weird, but like very light touching. Like if she laughs at a joke, you like touch her forearm, or if you guys are walking side by side, you like your hands can graze. Like even like stuff like that. It like little by little it adds up. But me, I was such like a nervous little Asian teenager. I had no idea how to progress the relationship, and like seeing some of my white friends, some of my like African American Black friends who were like so much bigger and bolder, and it just came like I felt like it came so much more naturally to them. Maybe it did. Some of them, for some of them, it did, and for some of them, it definitely didn't. But yeah, Asian teenager. That's me. That was me. Now I'm in my 20s now, so I'm officially way smarter and way more wise. Guys, what other questions do you have? Let's hear them. I don't want to just ramble about what I've lived through. I guess I could tell you guys about the crazy love story between my girlfriend and I. Oh man, I was hoping to save that for a whole different video. Now I'll just save it. I'll save it. Any couples from college that ended up getting married? I know couples from high school that got married. I know 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's crazy to think that some friends my age who are already getting married, and it happens a lot. Kids who are married in college, who meet people in college, are looking to get married. Sometimes it happens slightly out of college as well. Like Yale has they have a Yale club which exists in New York. I would say that 35% of Yale graduates go work in New York. And so there's a lot of them there. We have a building, the Yale Club. People have young alumni events and they go hang out and meet people. That's actually been like a fun little pipe dream of mine, which is I like organizing things. Obviously, I like talking. So I was thinking of running the Yale alumni club in New York if I ever go to New York, but I don't like New York. Thoughts on overcoming exes, says Sigil. I think that there's like a natural grief process that you definitely want to walk through. It depends on the relationship with the ex as well. You know, there's exes you guys dated for 2 months, and then there's exes that you guys dated for like 3 or 4 years, and you basically grew up as human beings together. Those are totally different scenarios. I recommend. For me, I cannot speak from like professional advice, but just from personal anecdotal experience. I remember being absolutely soul crushed, and I called a friend over, and she played like the saddest, like Coldplay. It was just playing like a ton of. I literally listened to The Scientist on repeat like 20 times, and I was crying against my roommate's closet as a sophomore. And then she brought some tissues and ice cream, and it was tough. That was probably one of my lowest lows in college. And something beautiful happened afterwards, which is I want you guys to think of like yourself as a glass, and you only have so much you can fill in the glass. Now, there's lots of different glasses. There's physical energy, which occupies one glass. There's mental energy, and then there's emotional energy and even spiritual energy. So all of my spiritual energy and emotional energy have been so invested in this long-distance, long-term relationship, and then that ended super abruptly, and I just rechanneled all of it into my grades, into my business. So that was really nice. But taking that time to know that this is a natural part, like don't try to repress it. Don't try to compartmentalize it. You can to some extent, but I think that over compartmentalizing is not good, you know? Juice WRLD is where it's at. All right, now listen to some sad Juice WRLD songs. Yeah, the lo-fi hip hop, study music, being productive / sad, being unproductive / sad. You know where it's at, guys. I found those lo-fi playlists like 6 years ago, and it has transformed my life as a student. What other questions do you guys have about dating and relationships in college? Is it easy? I'm going to come up with my own questions. Why not? Come up with my own questions and answer them myself. Was it easy dating? No, I don't think it was. I think it takes like you're already overworked. You have midterms. You have to look for a job, right? You're trying to keep up with friends, and now there's this added like social pressure of finding a person. I think that's really tough, and it might be especially tough for girls. I think asking a guy out as a girl is even more like scary and daunting. But I wouldn't say. I also don't even want to like. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you guys is that there's a time and place for everything. It's like Professor Oak. I could say, A, ask people out every single week, make it a priority, like overcome that fear. Or I could say, B, you're going to find someone when you like least expect it, which is kind of what happened to me. And it really just depends on the circumstance and the person. Have you ever crushed on someone you shouldn't? Yeah, 100%. My current, guys, this is a whole whole thing. But my current girlfriend, right? She's Brazilian. We met in Argentina for the first time. We met 3 years ago in Argentina, and she had a boyfriend. And I tried to be a homewrecker and kind of like break up their little relationship. I didn't try to actively like slice it through with a chef's knife, rupture it with Thor's hammer sort of deal. But, I was secretly hoping that they would break up. And they did. I mean, it's a whole long story. But the long story short, forever April 10. Have you ever crushed on someone you shouldn't? Yes. And now we're dating. What other questions do you guys have? Little sniffles. I've been reading a lot of books about emotional intelligence. Would you recommend dating in college? Yes, I do recommend dating in college, guys. I think it's going to get kind of funky and worse if you graduate from college and you've never been in a serious relationship. It only gets harder. You guys are going to try to find a serious relationship out of college. It's good to have that experience under the belts, right? I think that, and at the same time, there's this kind of like added pressure because I remember hearing from friends that they were really worried graduating from college as like a virgin or graduating from college without being in a significant relationship, especially boys. I think for boys, it actually gets easier when you're a bit older, like a junior or senior, because you arrive as a freshman and it's really not like you can date junior girls or senior girls. That really limits your pool to other freshman girls or I guess sophomore girls. It's a whole thing. Like it sounds dumb now, but in college, it's kind of like a thing. There's like an unstated hierarchy. Did you ever get over the crush in the meantime while she was dating someone else? How did you do it? Yeah, you get over it. Time helps. Forever April 10. The time really helps. And I just started getting invested and focusing my mental energy, emotional energy, really. Like think of your emotional energy like a current, and you can direct it towards an activity. You can direct it towards a project. You can direct it towards a person. And so that emotional energy doesn't necessarily have to be towards someone you have a crush on, but it could be towards a friend that you really want to show support. It could be towards your family as well. I know, guys, it sounds so cliche. I wish I was better at it, at telling you what to do. But there's other things that just can help regulate your hormones, like exercise and things like that. I think that exercise and using dance, for me, breakdancing was one of the best outlets. We joke about it all the time, but all the breakdancers went through heartbreak and then they like went on a Goku, Dragon Ball Z, like level up as soon as their girlfriends broke up with that. And then now, I'm in a relationship and my dancing is suffering because I'm not dancing as much. And my friend was on Instagram. We post every day on Instagram just to keep each other accountable. And he was like, where are your posts, bro? So that was kind of funny. Thanks, Sigil. Sigil tearing up the chat. I appreciate your support, man. Sigil, let me know when you're releasing a new video and we can collab. We can figure something out. I want to start a little YouTube group. Guys, check out Sigil's channel. He has way more subscribers than me and is way better on camera. I just sit here like a little potato and talk about things that I hope you guys find helpful. Yeah, Sigil from Toronto. I mean, there was another example where I was crushing on someone that I shouldn't have, and it was like a kind of like a subordinate. I didn't make a move for a year, and then she was like in a relationship with this other dude, and they were going through some stuff. And so I planned this private trip for us, and it was just like feeling the waters to see if anything could happen. Talked to some mutual friends about it, and they were like, don't pursue this. And I was like, but I still want to know. And so I like tried some things out, sent out the feelers, decided that this was not the move, and we just stayed friends. Yeah. Use your own best judgment. I know that oftentimes for young people, there's this kind of fear. Do I ask them out and hurt this relationship? Or what should I do, right? Like, should I confess? I could risk our friendship. But chances are, guys, if you have a really good friendship, you can kind of bounce back from that. So I've had cases where my friendship didn't recover, and I've had cases where it does. What does dating look like if you don't go to college? I guess it looks like dating in the real world. A lot of people are using dating apps now. But I think that the best way to do it is to show up in person and ask people. Find areas where members of the opposite sex that you're attracted to, or it could be the same sex, kind of congregate. So, for instance, I guess a funny example would be I'm really into yoga. And so it would be easy to meet girls at a yoga studio, although some of them tend to be like a lot older. You want to find people within your demographic, right, Sigil? So these would be like maybe younger creatives. Maybe you form a group. That could be a great way to meet people, honestly. Like Sigil, you form a Discord group and you're meeting young creatives, people in high school and college who are making stuff, very good at video, very good at digital art, and you end up like meeting someone that way. So that could be good. In order to meet the most people, it might be good to actually take initiative and organize like a group like that. Do you have any advice for counseling a friend through breakup? Yeah, I don't know how to be there when I have no experience with this. Yeah, I think that offering support, like we are not mind readers, and just going to them and say, you must be, don't assume, but it sounds like you're going through a really tough time. Like, let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. If you need space and you don't want to talk for a few days, let me know. If you want me to come over and we can listen to, what was it, Juice WRLD and eat Moose Tracks ice cream, let me know. If you want me to distract you or cheer you up, let me know. Everyone's healing process is a little bit different, but I think just having that intention and letting someone feel like they are loved, especially in that vulnerable moment when they just lost someone that they loved, is really beneficial, Lizzie. So it sounds straightforward, but it's a lot harder than it looks. Especially with guy friends, like I wasn't sure if my guy friends were okay. Like they would split up and we honestly didn't even talk about it. But I think that just extending that invitation, saying like, I'm here for you. Here is how I envision I can help. Let me know. I remember heartbreak sucks, like stuff like that. If you want to talk about it, I'm here. And just pinging them every couple of days, but still giving them space. I think that that goes a long way, right? Like not a lot of friends do that. I think maybe just if you have like 2 or 3 closest friends, then they would do that. Do you think people stay friends with their exes? Depends on the person. Just depends on the person, depends on the relationship with the ex. What other questions, guys? These are good ones. These are really cute. I think about that, Sigil, like what does it mean to be a really good friend? And I think that the person you're dating is going to be your best friend. The person that you're dating could be your best friend, will be your best friend. The person that you marry should be your best friend. The number one decision that you guys make in your life is who you marry. It will influence your long-term happiness. It will influence how much money you make. It will influence your health, right? Like being in a poor relationship can shorten your lifespan by 10 years. And being in a good relationship can extend your lifespan by like 5 to 10 years as well. So spend a lot of time and energy really thinking about it. And it's not like you need to get it right the first time. You can marry someone, have a successful marriage for 10 years, and then find another person to marry. I think there's so much stigma between saying like, oh, Kevin's on his second marriage, Kevin's on his third marriage. First of all, monogamy is a social construct. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think human beings were meant to be monogamous. It's kind of like a cultural, social development. A lot of the Western churches at the time kind of pushing that sort of thing. Humans were not monogamous for thousands of years. This is kind of a recent development. It's a whole thing that I could talk about. But at any rate, my sister is a family attorney, right? She specializes in divorce, custody, things like that. And it's not a failure if you lived with, a person that you loved and you guys had a great marriage for 20 years and you raised like 2 kids and then you decided that this is not working anymore. I want some change. I want to spend my life with someone else. And then you get a divorce and then you find someone else. Like that's nothing to be ashamed of, in my opinion. Maybe that's kind of like, I don't know, an out there progressive view, but that's kind of what I think. Kush just got waitlisted from Clark. Well, not a rejection. Abi Roop, how do you set limits in a relationship without upsetting your partner? So a lot of the times, guys, like we do little things in a relationship and it just kind of flares up. Here's an example of what I mean by that. Where, I'll give you an example with, I'll give you guys a hypothetical example. So let's say there's 2 people in a relationship and one of them has a car and the other person slams the door really hard on the car, or doesn't even know that they slammed the door. And this is kind of like a trigger for the other partner. And, they start telling partner A tells partner B, please don't slam the doors. And partner B is like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand. It's just a car, blah, blah, blah. Usually I want you guys to just maintain this open mindset and say there's always something underneath the surface. Just imagine that. Imagine that there is a whale swimming underneath the surface for all these kind of like rules, these little intricacies and things like that. It turns out that partner A, right, like didn't grow up with a lot of stuff. They're always trying to take care of their belongings, and they had a door which fell off and it resulted in an accident. And that's why they're very, very careful, especially about like doors. I mean, once you kind of understand that, then it helps the other partner. Once you're able to explain that and articulate it, then it really helps the other partner understand what's going on through your mind. It's not about the door, right? Clearly it's about security. So always think that it's not about this limit, right? It's about something else. It's about like, I hope that makes sense. So if like, let's say you are setting a limit when it's related to amount of time that I spend, that might be a big one, but you can say like, here's why, right? Like, I need to spend more time with my family because they're suffering, or I need to spend more time on my studies because I think that this is the number one thing that is the most, I need to spend more time studying because I think that this is the most important usage of my time over the next 3 to 4 years, right? Clearly that's understandable. But going through and peeling back those layers and saying like, this is the rationale, I think is important. Yeah, you see a lot of long distance relationships, especially during that freshman year of college, Sigil. Many. I would say that out of all the relationships, more than half are long distance because people are still dating kids from high school. I hope that helped answer your question, Abiru. It's something that we've been discussing with my girlfriend often. I've been discussing with her, that we've been discussing with each other. There's always stuff underneath the surface. There's usually like a whale. Just always assume that there's a whale. And remind yourselves, guys, that we are not mind readers. We cannot read the minds of our partners. They are not thinking like us, typically. They will probably think in a very different way. And it's our job to kind of understand that thinking in a loving manner. Bye, Lizzie. Take it easy. All right, guys. Any other questions? Questions? I feel so honored when you guys ask me questions. It makes me feel like, there was a time when I never thought that I would be giving relationship advice. I don't think I'm an expert. I still don't think I'm an expert, but I just want you guys to not make the same mistakes I did. I talked a little bit about people I've dated last time. I guess I'll go over it again. So my first relationship was in high school. It was very short, and it was basically physical. It was all physical. And it was the result, I think, of almost like this toxic masculinity that was so pervasive within my dorm. And we weren't even the worst dorm when it came to that sort of thing. But we would ask a lot like, oh, you're like seeing so-and-so, like how far did you get with her? You're like, what did you do? Did you get like neck? Like, did you guys pipe? Those were the slang terms that we used. And so it was horrible. Like, I think that in my mind, I was objectifying this girl. And I was thinking about like, oh, all these little achievements that I could stack and brag about to all the other girls. Like, it was really, really messed up. And I'm deeply ashamed of it. I think it was horrible. I really do. And that relationship just lasted 2 to 3 months. She was always trying to do like really kind and nice things. And I just didn't even know how to respond to them. For instance, she bought me like a pair of socks for Christmas or for the holidays. And I forgot to buy anything. And I felt like such a sham. I felt like a shell of a boyfriend. I didn't even feel like a friend. It felt horrible. And I kind of realized that this needed to stop. So we broke things up there. Like, she cared a lot more about me than I did about her. And I felt guilty about that difference in caring. That was my first relationship. Barbara. Okay, I'll answer Barbara's question and I'll come back to my relationship resume. Guys, don't forget to like this video if you find it's helpful. And also let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I love seeing the different countries and states that you guys are watching this from. Thanks, Abiru. I mean, it's a journey. Barbara, how do you explain to a partner that what they're doing is unintentionally hurtful or sexist? I've been called crazy for setting boundaries. They were nice socks. They were really nice socks. I think it depends on the boundaries. If you're bound, like, it depends, guys. I think some boundaries are a little bit crazy. If you're like, no, I can only see you once a week. That's it. That's like, this is like my, take it or leave it. I think that some people will be like, okay, I'm probably going to leave it. That is a little bit wild. It's a little bit out there. But within the, I think it's always good to toss out feelers, talk to some friends about your situation, talk to other people, people who are a little bit older. Maybe some specifics might be a little bit helpful if you're down to share, Barbara, but it depends, I think, personally on the boundary. And I think if you feel, one thing that's important is like just how you're feeling about their language. If they've said something that really is mean to you, sit them down and say, hey, can we talk? Like, what you said was really hurtful, and this is why. I thought it was really hurtful. My dad used to like criticize me constantly for XYZ. And that's where, when you say like, open your mind, or when you say like, stop being so sensitive, I've been having a lot of issues with like my sensitivity, blah, 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 blah. And talking and being able to explain yourself in a loving way, and see if your partner is open to that. And oftentimes they had no idea. They'll be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know that this phrase, was such a trigger. I will avoid it. I'll try to change. And that's typically how the relationship moves forward. How do you overcome insecurities in the relationships? It's a good thing to sit down for a couple hours with not even a couple hours, but an hour or two with your significant other, and just like ping pong back and forth. Like, what are your insecurities when it comes to a relationship? What do you worry about? What are you fearful of, right? Guys, the most interesting thing is that most relationships end because of a betrayal of trust. That is the most common cause of the death of a relationship, of a serious relationship, is betrayal in any sense of the word. This could be like cheating. This could be, you promise not to do something, you promise not to drink, you promise not to smoke in front of the kids. Here you are doing shots of heroin. It's like obviously like very clear betrayal. I think just think about that. Why do relationships fail? Is also a good way of approaching the question, why do relationships succeed? How do you overcome the insecurities? If you can articulate what the insecurity is and the other person can see past it or can support you. Like, for instance, one of my insecurities was my physique, right? Like, I'm not like a big guy. My girlfriend's actually taller than me. She's bigger than me. She probably beat me up. She's a black belt. Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to her about that, and she was like, she really validated me. And I won't go into the specifics, but she said some just incredibly nice things that made me feel prideful of the body that I was given. It was really as simple as that. It was. Let me know. I hope that was kind of helpful, Sigil. I can't give too many. I don't want to overshare, but yeah. Okay, if your boyfriend calls you a bitch, Barbara, I think that's kind of like questionable. That could be an orange flag. Even though I never bring them up, constantly criticize me. All right, guys, this is really important. Let's talk about, I want you to look this up on your own. If this is the only thing that you take away from today's conversation, it's really important. It's called the 4 Horsemen of Communication. And I just learned about it. 4 Horsemen of Communication. One of them is criticism. Here they are. They are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. I don't know if you guys have heard of any of these terms before, but I really, really wish someone had sat me down in like late middle school, early high school and been like, Kevin, if you see this, this is a really big warning sign. Criticism is exactly what it sounds like. And there's so many different ways to deliver this kind of criticism. Like, let's say that, classic, like I left the toilet seat up in the bathroom. And my girlfriend could be like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have no respect. Like, did you grow up in a cave? Like, that is criticism versus, hey, I noticed that you do this sometimes, it would be really nice if you could just put the seat down. The way that criticism is communicated is far more important than the criticism itself. Then there's defensiveness. Like, well, I don't do this. Like, I barely do it, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is, I rarely do it. You only see me. You're only picking out the times. I mean, these are exactly what it sounds like. Contempt is a little bit different. Let me see if I can find an example of contempt. It's good for me to kind of teach this too, because I just learned it. So it's nice for me to remember. Contempt. You're tired? Cry me a river. I've been with the kids all day, running around like mad to keep this house going. All you do is come home from work, flop down on the sofa like a child, and play those idiotic video games. I don't have time to deal with another kid. Could you be any more pathetic? That's an example of a contempt within a relationship. And then stonewalling is much more common for guys. I would say like happens all the time to guys, where someone of the, like a girl or something would be talking and talking and talking, and they're trying to evoke a reaction from the guy. And the guy is so flooded with emotions that they become like a literal wall and they can't respond. That is also a very big red flag. Is it a progression? Sometimes some of these can happen, right? Stonewalling is often a defense to criticism or contempt. So I would say that defensiveness is responsive to the first two, and stonewalling is also a response to like the first two. Yeah, so keep an eye out for those. How do you work past that? Oftentimes it's just pausing, like hit the pause button and be like, hold on. Let's take a step back here. Breathe for 20 minutes, if you can like identify it. It's almost like a negative, like this happens within ourselves too. We get into these like negative mental traps where we start getting really angry or guilty and we start beating ourselves up about it. It's nice to just hit the pause button and be like, hold on, pause. I am feeling angry. I am feeling guilty. Guilt and anger are like clouds, guys. They're emotions. Emotions are like clouds. They will pass. First step is noticing it. And then second step is just kind of stopping that cycle, because it's very easy to spiral outwards, especially when you have two people. I hope that was helpful. Next, we have Abiroop. Abiroop, how do you prioritize relationships? There's not an exact science to it. I think one thing to consider is who needs you the most right now, right? Obviously, if your mom is dying of cancer and your girlfriend is like killing it at work, everything's under control, you're going to have to spend more time with your mom. It depends on like who needs more. And it's also understandable. Like, let's say there's a sliding scale. Your mom is disabled, God forbid. And she needs a lot more time and energy from you, right? Being able to understand like what are other people's needs? How many hours and how much units of emotional energy can I see myself really giving to them, and why? Some people are more secure, some people are more insecure than others. And being able to understand like, they need me more now. And then another thing is to understand is, I hate to say it, but people are very, very selfish. And it's to the extent where if you feel like you're putting in 100 units of emotional energy and you're getting back 5 from a friend or from a lover, then that might make you really scratch your head and question the quality of the relationship. You can sit down and talk to them and be like, hey man, I feel like I'm bending over backwards. That happened a lot to me. And I was like, why am I always the one reaching out to people, asking them to hang out, talking to them about their problems? You realize that a lot of people, sadly, don't care about you as much as you care about them. It takes kind of insight to understand that. And there might be a reason why that they don't care about you so much now. They might be dealing with some own personal stuff as well. It's good to talk about your feelings and be like, hey, I feel like I'm putting in a ton and I'm not getting that much out. Is something wrong? Don't accuse them. Be like, I'm putting in 100 units. I do all this. You don't do anything. You sit around on your fat butt and watch Kevin's live streams while, I'm cooking lunch. Rather, you can be like, what's going on? Like, why is this happening? Is there something you want to talk to me about? Here's how I feel, right? Sometimes it's not so much about the Evan Howard, how to study. It's not so much about this action as it is almost all like the effect is just as important. I'm going to make a whole series, guys, about, I think, like essential college skills when you guys enter as an undergrad. How to study. It's really important to note what kind of task you're studying for. Is it rote memorization for a bio exam? Are you studying for, an in-class essay where they're going to ask you to talk about certain important events and their significance? That will frame how you're going to study. Typically I should really make a video about all this, but for rote memorization, you're going to want to do something called interleaving and spacing. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it's basically what flashcards are used for, where you space out your learning. So rather than cramming before an exam, you see and you study the flashcard like 2 or 3 times a day, and then you space it out. You shuffle up the order. That's spacing and interleaving. Then there's something called you're going to try to guess like the back of it, and you want feedback on it, which is really important. Pomodoro is a method for almost like, you can think of Pomodoro as like the bucket, and these techniques that I'm describing as things that go in the bucket that you do while you're in the process of a Pomodoro. If you're doing math, the best way to study math is to take practice exams. Look up as many problems and make it as close to the real thing as possible, right? Like, let's say it's the AP calculus exam. Yeah, man, you need to eat and poop like 5 of those exams and see what you know and don't know. It's great before you even begin to sit down and say like, hey, here are the problems I know how to solve. Here's everything I remember about AP Calc, and that I think is going to be on the test. Just sit down and write a sheet of white printer paper, all the formulas, all the concepts that you think are going to be on it. Yep. All right, I hope that was helpful. A very quick academics question in the middle of a emotional talk. Guys, I might run this stream for like 5 more minutes or so and then let you all go. I saw some people. Obviously, Chris is from New Haven. I remember you, Chris. Where do we go? We have Hi from Connecticut. Hi, Iris. We have Sigil from Toronto. Abhi is from India. Lizzie's from Texas. And I know where a lot of you guys are from, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Hassan is from Pakistan. Awesome. What are your grades? Okay, man, we're getting real personal. Are you talking about my high school grades or my college grades? My high school grades was on an 11.0 scale, so it was a 10.21 out of an 11. That was my high school GPA. I wasn't even in the top 30%. It's not going to be that helpful to you just because I went to a private boarding school and the grading system's totally different. And then at Yale, I had like a 3.69 out of 4. That was my GPA. Yeah, guys, GPA matters a ton. It's gonna define your self-worth. Obviously not. Especially in college, you just need above a 3.5. If you're thinking about graduate school, then you need better grades. If you want to go to a medical school, that sort of thing. Your GPA, guys, is merely a function of your major assignments. It's not like you need to be really, really smart, actively participating. Participation factors in like 10 to 20% at some of these places. You just need to get good at taking tests. That's all the GPA is, a function of taking tests. Yo, what's that, Tomas? Tomas, I'm in Brazil. I'm in Salvador. In Brazil. It's so hot. I had to close the window as these people were singing in Portuguese as I'm trying to do this live stream, bro. How's it going, Tomas? All right. Any other questions, guys, before I let you guys go? Do you think cramming for exams work? Thanks, Tomas. Cramming definitely works. 100%. Oh, guys, I'm going to plug 2 YouTube videos right now, recent ones that I made. There was a really, really great one about health, mental health. This one's called Dartmouth, Depression, and Drugs. It's with my close friend, Max. Definitely check this one out. That one's Dartmouth, Depression, and Drugs. I think it's the best of the interview series that I've done so far. And then this one talks about cramming. It's my friend who majored in neuroscience at Georgetown. And then he also studied abroad in Australia. So check this one out. Chris, yeah, that one was crazy. I'm glad you guys are like that one. You guys really like that one. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, that one was really real. Guys, the interviews keep getting better and better. I just did 5 interviews in the last few days, and now I am editing them. The next one that I'm going to post is going to be about parties at UPenn. So that one will be good. And then what else is in the pipeline? Oh, yeah. And then I have my friend who was a chemical engineer, and she turned into a film major, and she wrote like 3 films this year. And oh my gosh, that was disgusting. And is like a published poet. Heroes was clean too. Yeah, I asked them lengthy questions. This interview is me just sitting in a corner and just trying to shut up and let these people talk, tell their life story. I'm glad you guys like these. This made my day. This really made my day. I wasn't sure if you guys would watch them. Please watch them in like 2x speed or 1.5x speed. Answering Evan's question real quick. Yeah, I'm okay. I just have allergies. Everything's fine. How long should you study before an exam? Depends on the exam. You know, there are 4-hour finals. 3-hour finals in college versus a 50-minute exam in high school. I mean, it depends on what exam. I'm okay, guys. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Life is good. I could be exercising more. Could be dancing more. I dance about like 6 hours a week. But trying to dance every day. I used to dance like 10, 12 hours. Yeah. Colleges 100% consider your access. At Deola. So obviously, if you grew up in rural Nepal, you're not going to be able to say like, oh, I did cutting edge research with a university. But if you said like, hey, I created this invention which purified water in my community, that's like just as impressive. So keep that in mind. It was a nasty sneeze, man. There's sneezes and then sneezes. You guys know what I'm saying? All right, guys, I have tutoring in 10 minutes. I'm tutoring these girls from Arizona. So thank you so much for joining. It really means the world. You know, I'm a crazy person if I sit here and talk to a black dot and no one's watching. And I'm a genius and I feel like super blessed if I'm talking and I have 15 viewers from around the world joining me. 15 is a lot. Like, no, sometimes I'm like, oh, these other streamers, they get like thousands of viewers. But then I'm like, then again, I teach Zoom classes with like 2 or 3 kids. I'm like, if I can change the lives of those 2 or 3 kids, then I feel pretty good, pretty blessed. So hopefully you guys learned something. Don't forget to recap the 4 horsemen of communication. Check that out. Check out the 2 videos that I linked as well. The depression, Dartmouth, and drugs one is probably one of my favorites. Watch it in 1.5x speed. All right, guys, take it easy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you at the next one. I'll be back next week. All right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks. Take it easy, guys.